Welcome to today's training. This is the training on team cleaning, how we do it in the Salt Lake City School District. It's a very basic overview. Of course, there can be changes to this and some little tweaks and adjustments here and there, but this kind of gives you the basic idea. And this is for an elementary school. Junior high and a high school will be done just a little bit differently, but let's go ahead and get started and look at it, shall we? So the zone method, which is how we're all kind of used to cleaning. An example of the zone method is you have, let's say, a three-story school, and you have three full-time employees working 24 hours a night, um, total FTE time. One cleans the classrooms, the restrooms, they sweep the staircase, they sweep the stairs, they sweep the hall, they take care of all of that stuff on the top floor. Then another one of those people, well, they clean classrooms, restrooms, they sweep staircase, take care of, they do all the operations on the middle floor. And then the third one cleans the office, library, faculty restrooms, student restrooms, classrooms, hallways on the bottom floor. So for this, everyone needs their own equipment. You need 3 trash barrels, 3 vacuums, 3 dust mops, a couple brooms, 3 mops and buckets, and 3 buffers. Everybody is a generalist. So the team difference in that same school with, say, 5 part-time people instead of 3 full-time people, these specialists using team cleaning, you have one light duty specialist who is responsible for dumping all the trash, dusting on a rotating basis, emptying pencil sharpeners, cleaning chalk trays in the entire building. That's one thing they do in the entire building. Then you have a floor specialist who's responsible for vacuuming and sweeping all of the rooms. You have one utility specialist who spot mops classrooms, changes burned out lights, cleans sinks, and removes graffiti. One stair specialist / hall specialist who takes care of the stairs in the hallways. A restroom specialist who focuses on restrooms. For this, you're only going to need 1 trash barrel, 2 dust mops, 1 vacuum, 2 mops and buckets, and 1 buffer. This is a savings of quite a bit of equipment, for one thing. And, well, as we were looking at just a minute ago, 3 full-time employees, well, we don't have 3 full-time employees in elementary schools. In fact, well, we're lucky to have 5 part-time people in the elementary schools. So you can see that it's a much more efficient way to do it with less people and not that we're trying to cut back on people, but the reality is, well, we really don't have the full-time people in our buildings to be able to do all of these things we need to do. We are limited by the part-time and full-time staff that we currently have. So we've got to figure out a more efficient way of doing things. Let's talk about what a combo route is, because I know it's a little bit confusing. Well, wait a minute. You've got all of these different specialists and that's all they do? Well, not really. A combo route is a route that requires the custodian to perform several different specialist jobs in a specific zone or area. For example, first the custodian, let's say one of the sweepers, performs the duty of the light duty specialist, and they also perform the duty of the utility specialist. But they still have time left in their shift, and they can go back and perform the duties of a vacuum and a floor specialist. So the point is, instead of going in a classroom and doing everything, all of these processes all at once, then going to the next classroom, instead of doing that, it breaks it down into simple processes that you do throughout the whole building first and then move on to the next process. Believe it or not, this is much more efficient. So let's talk about the different positions. First of all, you have the team leader. This is the evening supervisor or the night custodian, as they are called. Their responsibilities include supervising and directing the team. Knowledge of all the team duties. I mean, they've got to know what's supposed to be done, what they're supposed to be doing. And they have to train the new team members. Providing supplies and equipment for the team so that the team's not running around looking for dust mops or mops or vacuums or whatever. No, the team leader gets all of that prepared ahead of time and ready for the team. They're also required to secure secure the building. That's what the night custodian does. And they fill in for different team members as they are off. And we'll cover that as we go through the team cleaning. So the first process that we're going to touch on is the light duty specialist. So whoever you designate as your light duty specialist is the person that's going to go through and they're going to dump all the trash in the classrooms, the offices, the library, and the halls. They're going to clean finger marks off of doors, door frames, spot clean door glass, so the touch points. They're going to empty the pencil sharpener. They're going to clean the chalk tray. They're going to secure the windows. They're going to change the liners in the trash cans on detail night, and we'll get to that in just a minute. They will also do the dusting on detail night. So again, this is your light duty specialist, and you can pick one of your sweepers designate them as the light duty specialist. They don't have to be that forever and henceforth forevermore, but they can do that one night, and then maybe another night they can go to another duty. So let's look at this a little bit more. We're going to talk about the rotating schedule here. Okay, think about this. We require that the dusting be done in the building once a week. To break it up in such a way that makes sense, what if you did the upper grade on Monday night? You detail clean. Okay, routine cleaning is just go in and do the regular routine, the same thing every day. But the detail night, that's where you do the changing of the liners. That's where you do the dusting, okay, the details. So on Monday, we would do the upper grade. Tuesday, we could do the lower grade. Wednesday, we do the kindergarten and daycare area. Thursday, well, do the office and library area. And Friday, well, you make that, I call it a short night because sometimes our sweepers will work only 3.5 hours on a Friday. Or, well, come on, nobody wants to work extra hard on a Friday. So that makes a good night to just not have to do those things. Besides, why would you dust on Friday when you got a whole weekend coming up anyway, and by Monday you're just going to see some more dust? So this is a really good way of coming up with a rotating schedule. Of course, you can change this around. Don't have to do upper grade on Monday. You could do the lower grade on Monday, but you get the point of what needs to be done. Okay? For the light duty specialist, again, the detail night is dusting and changing all the liners in that area. Now, that doesn't mean you just change the liners on this one given night. What it means is if somebody, say spills a soft drink in the garbage can and the liner is nasty, you need to change that out. But if your liner stays pretty clean all week, it's still a good idea to change them out just once a week. And that you would do on your detail night. Now, for a stair specialist that we're going to talk about in a minute, their idea of a detail night is that's when they dust in in that particular stairwell. So imagine if you had 4 stairwells in your building, you would break it up into Monday night you do the one stairwell, Tuesday another one, Wednesday a different one, and Thursday the last of the 4. Makes perfect sense. Detail night for a restroom specialist. Now, they're going to have a few extra things to do on their detail night, and that's things like dusting ledges and partitions and vents. Dusting. Remember we talked about dusting. Dusting once a week. They're going to use acid in the sinks and the toilets, and they're going to change burned out lights in a restroom on the detail night. So here's the thing. You could have, let's say in a restroom, you could have a burned out light for a day or two, but get it on that detail night. At least it's addressed once a week. That's kind of an interesting thought. So here's your restroom schedule. Think about this. Again, Monday, detail night for your upper grade. Tuesday, detail night for the lower grade. And come on, we're usually talking only 2 restrooms here. Kindergarten and daycare, preschool on Wednesday. And Thursday is your faculty restrooms. That's when they would be detailed. So, wow, this sounds pretty easy because we're only asking that you do that detail work in a restroom, one set of restrooms a night. You don't have to do all of them every night, just one set every night. As long as it's not the same set, you're great. As long as you rotate it like this. So, Details again include using acid on the fixtures, that's the toilets and the sinks, dusting of the ledges, changing the lights, and hosing down the restroom. Now, for those of you who have a touch-free cleaning machine, well, you can use that every night if you like, and that's great. But we do require that at least once a week, if you're not using a touch-free cleaning machine, if you're just conventionally cleaning it with a bucket, guess what? You still need to hose it down once a week. And we've talked about this, and there's an actual restroom training video out on that. So I'll refer you to that. Make sure that you check the paper products every night if you're a restroom specialist. Now, the routine night for a restroom specialist is to just mop the floor with the disinfectant, clean the mirror, clean all the drinking fountains. Why the drinking fountains? Well, that's because usually a drinking fountain is right by a restroom. You've got all of the stuff with you to clean it, hence why the restroom specialist should be cleaning the restroom, or not the restroom, but the drinking fountains every night. All right, let's move on to the stair specialist. Well, the stair specialist is supposed to sweep all their assigned stairs, mop all their assigned stairs, and spot clean the walls in the staircases on a daily basis. That's routine cleaning, okay? Wipe the handrails on detail night. How often do you think to wipe the handrails? And you know, a lot of hands go on there, and a lot of grimy stuff is on those hands. So we need to be wiping them off regularly, and all we're asking is that we do it once a week. At least once a week, but once a week. And again, you do it on the detail night for that specific staircase. Now, a vacuum specialist is to vacuum all the carpeted areas and the tiled wet areas. If they have a tiled wet area, you're vacuuming the carpet in a classroom, go over and vacuum the wet area. No reason you have to come back with a broom. Shouldn't be. You could vacuum that wet area. You're to straighten the furniture as needed. And take note. Usually you take a notepad, but you could do it on a phone, however you want to take notes. And take note of any items that the utility specialist would need to deal with. Things like, does this room have a burned out light? Does the wet area need to be mopped? Things like that. Okay? They just need to take note so that the utility specialist can take care of those things. Now, the utility specialist will spot mop all classrooms that need it. So this is a process that happens after the classrooms have been vacuumed or swept. So this process kind of happens later in the night. Sometimes this can be a sweeper, and sometimes it would be the night custodian. But anyway, they spot mop all classrooms that need it. They change the burned out lights in the classrooms. They clean the sink and replace the paper towels and the soap in the classrooms as needed. So that's something they need to look for. And they remove any graffiti in the stairway or hallway. All right, a hallway specialist is to sweep the hallway, mop, or auto scrub the hallway. Now keep in mind, you don't need to auto scrub every night. The only time you really need to auto scrub is when you have inclement weather like snow, rain, there's salt being drug in. Yeah, you need to auto scrub on those nights. Other than that, you really only need to auto scrub a hallway once a week. So think about putting that on a rotating basis. Let's say your upper grade hall or hallways on Monday get auto scrubbed. Think about most of the year, September through October, November when the weather's good, or April, May when the weather's good. Yeah, so Monday upper halls, Tuesday lower halls, not a bad idea. And that way you don't have to mop all of those others. You do have to spot mop. You would have to mop right by the entranceway, but the point of the matter is you don't need to auto scrub everything every night. The more important thing is to buff as much as you can. You're supposed to buff as many hallways as you can on a nightly basis. That's what keeps them nice and shiny and keeps the black marks off. Also, the hallway specialist is to drain the auto scrubber when finished. Now, they're also to make sure they dust off the burnisher after every use. Wow, every use. They check the oil every day, and they check and log the burnisher in the logbook, because there is a logbook provided for every piece of equipment that we have, all these burnishers, all these vacuums, and they need to make sure that they update that. They replace the propane as needed, and they do wash the filter that goes around the top there every night. That's what the hallway specialist is supposed to do. Now, the restroom specialist. Guess what? The hallway specialist is usually the night custodian. Well, the restroom specialist is definitely the night custodian. This is a person that has a lot more training and a lot more responsibility, and that's why we have the full-time people take care of restrooms. So the night custodian is the restroom specialist. They are to sweep the restrooms. They're to acid wash and disinfect the fixtures, and then on detail night they take care of those sorts of things. Now, I say head custodian only because we do not want sweepers using acids in these fixtures. Obviously the head night custodian could do this as well, but restroom specialist can also be, by the way, can also be a head custodian. The head custodian can have certain restrooms that they clean during the day. But the point is, it's a specialist activity. They're to remove any graffiti. They're to stock the toilets with paper towel, soap, and toilet papers, if that's so equipped. They are to mop the floor with disinfectant. They're to clean the mirror, wipe the walls, clean all drinking fountains. Detail the restroom on a rotating basis. Now, and we refer back to that chart. Now, again, as I said a minute ago, a head custodian would probably, not always, but probably have things like, oh, maybe kindergarten bathrooms to clean or faculty restrooms to clean, while the night custodian would take care of most of the, say, upper grade and lower grade restrooms. And sometimes the night custodian cleans all of the restrooms. It just depends on the duties of the specific building. Now, the cafeteria specialist. Any idea who this is? You got it. That's the head custodian. Now, every once in a while, a night custodian has to fall into these duties as well, because sometimes you'll have the after-school program that will require cleaning up after. Sometimes you will have a dinner program. I know of a couple of schools that serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner to the kids. Okay, so usually this is the head custodian, though, but every once in a while the night custodian in certain situations does have to fall into this category. So the cafeteria specialist is to clean all the operating areas of the cafeteria area, empty all the trash, and change the bags. That doesn't mean, head custodians, that you leave the trash for your night custodian to take care of. Oh, no, 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 no. This is your job. This is your duty to get all of that trash out and change the bags. Also, night custodians, if you are falling into the category of nighttime cafeteria specialist, you empty all the trash. You don't leave it for the head custodian. Okay? Very important. One of our basic IPM principles, get the trash out. The cafeteria specialist is supposed to pick up and put down the tables, sweep, mop, auto scrub the floors. That needs to happen. Buff the floors daily. Oh, wow, I don't buff my floors daily. Well, we pretty much want you to do it 3 times a week, at least. I say at least. If you're only buffing your floors once a week, you're not buffing them enough. Your floors aren't going to be shiny enough. They aren't going to look right. They're not going to wear properly. Floors need to be buffed in the cafeteria 3 times a week at least. Okay? If there's stairs of any kind in the cafeteria area, very few schools have that, but sometimes they do. It is the cafeteria specialist's job to sweep and mop those stairs in that area. And if there's any windows in that area, that's what they're supposed to take care of as well. And they spot clean the walls in that area. Now, the gym specialist. This is kind of interesting. The gym specialist? Well, a gym specialist is trained in all operations pertaining to the specialized custodial operations of a gym area. So things like changing the lights up on the ceiling. Well, you can't do that on a daily or weekly basis. You have to order a special lift to come in on certain days, usually non-student days, and we'll get in and change those lights. So, but the person who's in charge of being the gym specialist needs to make sure they get that taken care of. They're supposed to sweep, mop, and buff the gym area. They do the sweeping of any stairs, sweeping and mopping of any stairs or ramps in the gym area. They need to know how to operate the automatic wall partition in that gym area, because sometimes you got to open those up for assemblies, which means also setting up the folding chairs for the assemblies. Now, the gym specialist, that can be the head custodian. In many buildings it is, and in some buildings it's the night custodian. Just depends on how the workload is arranged in a certain building. They have to make sure they sweep and mop the buff and buff the stage area. Stages are very important that we keep those up. And they also need to know the operation of the sound and lighting equipment. That doesn't mean that they're the sound engineer when there's a assembly. What it means is they need to know where the microphones are kept, how the lighting is to be turned on, how you turn that stuff on, how you turn on the sound, all of those sorts of things, and how to operate the automatic screen. So you can see the gym specialist really is not going to be a sweeper. This is a head custodian or night custodian activity. All right, so this is a kind of quick, I know it wasn't that quick, but a quick overview of the basics of team cleaning in an elementary school.